Hi, welcome back to Perfect Purple Conversations. And today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite aspects of reggae, the organ shuffle. Some people refer to it as the bubble, shuffle, however you want to refer to it. What I love about it, it's one of reggae's superpowers. Superpowers, what am I talking about that? Well, stick with me for the next 20 minutes and I'll take you through and explain to you exactly what I mean. Now, there are some good videos out there on YouTube discussing the organ bubble, and if you are an advanced player, I recommend that you check some of these out. But the good videos tend to focus on the technicals and not on what I consider to be the fundamentals, the foundation of a good organ shuffle. So instead, I'll be showing you 5 simple things you can incorporate into your playing to level up the sound of your reggae organ bubble. But before we get started, if you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe. And if you've been here before and you haven't subscribed, you know what to do. Let's go. Probably the most important aspect of the shuffle and the main element that I often hear inexperienced players get wrong. In fact, I've heard some experienced players get this wrong too. So what we want to do is understand what kind of sound we need to achieve the right feel and sonic position in the sound spectrum or the mix. The Hammond B3 was probably the most famous organ model and was in production from the 1950s through to the 70s, just long enough to be adopted and embraced by jazz and reggae musicians alike. Now, just because we know the shuffle is normally played using an organ, that doesn't mean we can play a shuffle using just any organ sound. No, 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 no. Over the years, I've heard players shuffle using all sorts of organ sounds. That's not what we want. Great, magnificent, dramatic sound, but that's not what we want for a reggae organ. I don't have a Hammond with me today, but this keyboard has drawbars, which is very useful for what I want to do in terms of demonstrating how to design the sound. So straight away, we are going to get rid of the reverb. We don't want that. That's starting to sound better already. And I'm going to close all of the drawbars one by one so you can hear the sound changing. All the drawbars are closed, no sound. So what we want to do now is open just the 4-foot pipe. And we should now have a sort of flute sound. A good shuffle has responsibilities. It needs to enhance the groove without being intrusive, without sticking out. It needs to complement both the rhythm and soundscape at the same time. So like I said, if you don't have drawbars or you don't have that sound as a preset in your keyboard, you can edit your sound, or an easier trick is to use other sounds like, say, a flute sound or a sine wave. I've even heard people shuffle on a Fender Rhodes sound. If you've got the right technique, it can work. So rather than blindly reaching for any random organ sound, it's key that you select the right sound and frequency. A frequency that will slot itself into the mix discreetly but still be fundamental to the foundation of the overall groove. So now I've got my sound, I can shuffle like this. Great. But what I sometimes like to do is put on some vibrato, which replicates the sound of the Leslie. So I'm spinning quite slow, I'm going to speed that up. And that gives it a little bit more attack, a bit more character, and more body in terms of its sound and for it to establish itself in the mix. Now, the right hand can be less regimented in terms of sound or where it needs to be. You can chop your right hand here, or you could even add in a piano. The sound you use for the right hand is not as rigid in terms of where it needs to play or the sound it needs to be, as it will often be obscured by the piano or guitar chop. But if you have a split capability or a second keyboard or an upper organ deck, then go for a richer organ sound opening a few more of the draw bars maybe. But the left hand really needs to be in this frequency zone to get that Earl wire Lindo sound. Which leads me on to tip number 2, pitch. Where do we play the shuffle? Do we want to be playing up here, down here? That's too high, too gimmicky, too cartoonish. That's too deep, too muddy. We want to be somewhere in between the first and second C. That's the sweet spot, depending on the size of the pipe that you've selected. So let's call this the golden zone. In this example, I'm using a 4-foot pipe, but if I was to use, say, an 8-foot pipe, which is an octave lower, I would need to position my left hand an octave higher. Same sound, but octave higher. So we're using a 4-foot, so it's down in this region, between C1 and C2. So when we're playing the shuffle, moving to different chords, etc., we need to use our first and second inversions to stay inside or as close to the golden zone as possible. To get the best sound, in my opinion, the sound that's closest to a wire Lindo type effect is to be in this area between C1 and C2. To have that frequency, that pitch to your left hand. Which also means you're limited in where you can play your chord. So if I'm shuffling on a G, for instance, you'll notice that my third note, using the triad, the D, is clearly outside of this golden zone. So I'm going to use my inversion, second inversion, to bring that D down to here. So my triad is the same, but except I'm inverting it so that all my 3 notes sit within the golden zone. So you need to be using your first and second inversions to make sure when you're moving around in your chords that you kind of stay inside or as close to this golden zone as possible. Okay, next we're going to be talking about what I call the tempo threshold. Now there are many different types of shuffle, but most of them have almost become extinct, and you rarely, if ever, hear them on modern reggae recordings. These days, the shuffle pattern that most people play is what I call the traditional shuffle, which is a mix of a ska pattern in the left hand and a reggae chop in the right hand. So if I was to play... So if we take a ska rhythm and put a reggae chop on it, that is a traditional shuffle, or what I will call a traditional shuffle. The other shuffle that's relatively popular or still in use, current use, is a shuffle that derived from a previous technique called a pop-a-top. Now the pop-a-top was named after a song or a dance, and it's onomatopoeic. And what I mean by that, it sounds like its name. Pop-a-top. But the modern pop-a-top has a break in it now. So instead of playing continuously, it has a break. And those are the 2 types of shuffles that you generally hear today, traditional and pop-a-top. Now the tempo of the song determines really which of those 2 styles you should be playing. If your song is below 97, if it's on the slow side, below 97 BPM, you want to play, I would suggest you play the traditional shuffle. And if your song is on the quick side, in terms of tempo, 97 and above, you may want to think about playing the pop-a-top pattern. And I mentioned superpowers. The great thing about these 2 rhythms, they have an ability to control how the music feels. So if the music is slow and you play a traditional shuffle, it will make the music sound faster and actually make you want to dance more. It will add more groove and feel to it. Conversely, if the music's quick and racing a bit and you play the pop-a-top shuffle, that will actually hold the music back and stop it from accelerating and make it feel a little bit slower than it is. So they are both a great way to regulate the tempo and the groove of the music. So let's try it with some music so I can demonstrate better what I'm talking about. This track's about 79 BPM. Regular viewers should recognize this track. quite slow. Right, here we go. Just gonna put straight traditional shuffle in. So when I jumped in there, for me, it just lifted the song. Let's try that again. Straight away, the music starts to bounce more, have more character. And for me, that's the difference. It's literally the difference between someone standing passively listening to the music versus someone who thinks, I'm going to put my drink down and I need to dance to this. I need to rock and groove. That's the power of the shuffle. It can literally make people want to dance. So don't underestimate its importance. The next track is a lot quicker. And again, some of you reggae heads may recognize this drum pattern. And it's actually on the cusp of the threshold, tempo threshold. So this one's at about 97 BPM. So I'm going to play traditional shuffle, then the popper top shuffle, and tell me if you can feel the difference and which one you prefer. So here's a traditional shuffle. And a popper top shuffle now. Traditional. Popper top shuffle for me felt much better, much more relaxed. Let the song breathe. That little rest, that sort of rock steady cotch, that rest made the song have character and gave space for the drums to feature through the pattern rather than the traditional shuffle, which kind of was just hammering through the pattern. So I'll just show those two again. It's cool, but it's racing for me. So I hope you could hear the difference there. Certainly for me, there's a clear difference in terms of the feel. And as the tempo gets faster, you definitely won't have a choice. You'll know which one you need to play. Well, that track is obviously pre-recorded, but when I played the popper top, it felt like I was holding the music back, like it was being held back in its tempo. Obviously, it's not changing, but it's the perception of what the shuffle can do, make a song sound faster or slower. Superpower. Number 4, groove. Now, the groove of any song is most commonly dictated by the groove template of the drummer, particularly the hi-hats. So if the hi-hats are played with a swing feel, the shuffle should also be played with a swing to match, as should all of the rhythm section for that matter. Conversely, if the hi-hats are played with a straight feel, your bubble should also be straight to match the overall groove set by the drummer. So in this particular track, to understand the groove template, I'm listening for the pattern of the offbeats of the hi-hats or the syncopation of the rim shot or toms. So let's have a listen. Right, the hi-hats are playing straight 8s. So there's not a lot of clue in the swing here. Every now and again there's a little tickle, which is giving me a clue to the feel. There you go. So there's my groove template. So I'm gonna match that. That's the correct swing for this track, this drum track. Right, all that syncopation by the rim shot just now on the cowbell is giving us clues as to the syncopation, it's giving us clues to the groove template and how we need to get our shuffle to fit accordingly. So now I'm gonna alternate between the straight and the swung feel to see how they jar, feel how they clash. Swing. Now straight. Swing. Straight. Definitely a difference. I hope you can hear the difference. But when you get used to it and when you get more familiar with the difference, you'll be able to make sure or ensure that not just you, but the entire band is locked into the same groove template. So if you're playing a swing and the guitarist is playing a straight chop, or your hi-hats are not synced with whoever in the band, you're gonna quickly pick out who's not sitting on the groove correctly and be able to correct them in their approach so that everybody's locking into the same groove. Finally, number 5, you can put in, but you can't take out. What do I mean by that? This is not about how you play, but more about when you do or don't play. So assuming you've implemented the first 4 tips, you're now ready to shuffle like the grandmasters. For me, the shuffle is magical, the star of the rhythm section, and there's nothing sweeter than delaying the entrance of the bubble until after the song has already started. For dramatic effect, I like to wait until the first verse before introducing the shuffle. For a great example of this, check out Natural Mystic on the Exodus album by Bob Marley and the Wailers. On this example, the band took a while to settle into the rhythm before the recording engineer actually hit record, which is why on the final recording, the song actually begins as it fades in. But even though the groove is solid by this point, it's not until the organ shuffle is introduced way into the first verse does the groove really become alive. Pay attention to the shift in the energy when the shuffle starts. It's super effective. Conversely, if you remove the shuffle mid-song, you will negatively affect the groove. It's like in the middle of eating a meal and for no reason, all the spice and seasoning is suddenly instantly removed from your food. Take a second to imagine what that would be like. Well, that's what it feels like when you remove the shuffle mid-song, which in most circumstances for me is a no-no. Now, you may want to take it out temporarily, so in a dubwise section or in the bridge, etc., with the intention of reintroducing it later in the song. This is okay. It allows you to reintroduce it as a special guest, grand entrance, and again, relift the energy and add some more spice back into your food. So let's just recap. Number 1, we had sound. Get the right sound. We don't want a church organ sound. We want a flute type sound, sine wave, a little bit of a vibrato, no reverb or delay. Number 2, pitch. Keep your shuffle sound in the sweet octave, in the golden zone between C1 and C2. Number 3, tempo threshold. Remember, the traditional shuffle will make a slow song sound faster, and the pop-a-top shuffle will make the fast song sound slower. Superpowers. Number 4, groove. Make sure your groove template matches the template of the song, specifically the drummer's offbeats on the hi-hats and rim shot syncopation. If you can do these 4 tips, you will sound golden. And number 5, you can put in, but you can't take out. Of course, you can take out if you want to, but understand that if you have the power to directly impact the groove, as they say, with power comes responsibility. So if you've made it this far in the video, then you are now on your way to being a bona fide black belt organ bubbler. And as a bonus for sticking with me, I have one more bonus tip for you. So now that we've gone through the 5 tips that I think that can really level up your playing, I just want to talk about something special, something that adds a bit of character and spice, some flavor into your shuffle. And the first of these 4 spices or syncopation that I like to add to my shuffle is what I call a drag. So if I take my 4 chops in the left hand, they're all staccato, but I'm going to take the 4th one and just extend the value of the note so it's a little bit longer. And playing 3 short, 1 long will sound like this. And when I put the right hand in to give it some context, you'll hear how it sounds. That's the drag. So you can put the drag in on the 4th beat, what we've done here, or you can put it on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, it doesn't matter. Experiment where you want to put it. The second ingredient or spice that I like to add in is the double shuffle. So what that is adding 2 16th notes in between, just before the chop on the left hand. So it will sound like this on its own. Again, sounds weird on its own. So let's add the right hand to give it some context, and you'll see how it sounds. And that's a lot of swag, a lot of style there, a lot of character there. And what I like to do is when I play the double shuffle is to immediately follow it with a drag. Sometimes the double shuffle will make you pull you outside of the groove ever so slightly, and that drag will pull you back in. So it sounds something like this, the double shuffle followed by the drag. And we can also add some seasoning, some spice to the right hand. So this third spice is what I call a slapback. So similar to the double shuffle, if I'm playing the right hand, isolate the right hand by itself, so it's playing the chop like that. So it's like a delay that happens immediately after the sound. And it sounds like this with the left hand. And then the 4th spice that I like to add in is what I call a press in the right hand. So again, if we're playing the right hand chop, isolate the right hand. So that in between press will sound like this when we're shuffling. And what's nice is to add in the slap back followed immediately by the press. And that slap back and that press you can move around, experiment with different inversions. So if I'm playing G, first inversion, just move it around, keeping the same pattern within the same confines of the slap back and the press and the normal shuffle, moving around your inversions, giving different flavors and textures to the sound. So I'm going to play our song and shuffle and then add in those 4 different ingredients to give us our full flavor one by one. And that's it. All the spice and flavour you need for your top grade organ shuffle. I hope you got some value from today. If you did, please hit that like button and remember to subscribe. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about where you would play the traditional shuffle versus the pop top shuffle, depending on the tempo. I do read all the comments, and if there's any genuine questions, I'll try my best to reply wherever I can. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, little more.